Let's maybe get that to the 20 range. Let's see. How can you tell if two sharks are friends? They act chummy with one another. Yeah. Thanks, Joker. I mean, thanks, Jacob. Oh my goodness. The Joker's got me all
All
messed up.
messed up.
So, as we talk about sharks, the main reason why we're here is tonight we're going to talk about the true story of Jaws. Now, some of you, if you want to come by later, you can. I'm going to cut this out and put it in a separate video. But yeah, this is the true story of Jaws. Like, so as you know, obviously you've probably seen the movie Jaws, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, I have.
So, it's around a New England town, and a shark just kind of goes rampant and attacks people, and he gets taken out by shark hunters, right?
Hmm.
So, this is a similar event that has actually happened in American history that we're going to talk about. Before I get started, though, someone said that you don't consider Jaws as a horror movie.
No, I do not. I think of it as more action drama, I guess. And it's not because I didn't, grow up during that time, because there are definitely horror movies that I've seen, of the 60s and the 70s and all that have definitely have freaked me out. So it has nothing to do with that. I appreciate, because I'm such a film buff, I appreciate movies in the time that they were created.
Hmm.
It just it just doesn't scare me, and for me, it's just more of a lesson of, if you're gonna go on their turf, this is what you get. So, like, I have no
Wait,
sympathy for the chick that dies at the beginning of the movie. I'm like, I mean, if you're gonna go swimming in the ocean in the middle of the night, I mean, I don't know what you
they weren't really,
expect.
they weren't really thinking a great white. I mean, that he was just kind of strolling through. He wasn't normally there. So whose territory would he have been in?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, this is similar to that.
Okay.
So it wasn't safe to go back in the water. It's just around Jersey Shore in
Mhm,
1916. There was a series of like deadly shark attacks that like literally forever changed how us Americans
mhm.
like thought of these shark creatures, right? Um, and we'll get into that here in a second, but basically, we'll go over a couple of victims that happened over this literally span of I think a couple weeks or so,
Mhm.
or 45 days, maybe about 30 or 45 days. So, in America at this time, they would always want to celebrate 4th of July holiday weekend on the beach. I don't know if you've been to New Jersey or the New Jersey Shore, but this is what it used to look like back in that time. This is
Right.
probably around Atlantic City. Um, so they would always try to escape the heat of the summer, right?
Mhm.
So they were promised to come down here and just hang out without a worry. And there was the war going on in Europe, and there was some other things happening in New York City that just people just needed a release, right? That's why we do
Right.
YouTube. That's why we do some other things. So people were going to the beach. Some of these outfits are pretty snazzy at the beach. Like these guys are
Yeah.
like literally dressed up. so 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 the first victim was a man named Charles Van Sant. So he was one of these people who wanted to seek refuge from
Mhm.
the sweltering heat. So he was at his beachfront hotel, and he wanted to take a dip in the Atlantic Ocean there before dinner on July 1st. So he's like 25 years old. He's pretty athletic. He waded into the shallow surf, swam out from the padded Chesapeake Bay, and then he was suddenly sliced through the 3.5 foot deep water. It's like a fin came right by him,
Right.
um, and the sea creature clamped on his left leg, released it, refused to let it go. The swimmer unleashed a morbid scream. The ocean's and the ocean's white breakers turned red, and a human chain tried to tug him to safety. So they tried to pull him on a tray, trying to pull him in,
Mhm.
but the animal did not unleash its jaws until the its belly scraped on the bottom of the pebbles of the beach and the shallow waters near the shore. The rescuers carried the body badly injured Besant into the lobby of the luxurious, I think that's Ingleside
Yeah.
Hotel, where he bled to death. The attending physician recorded it remarkable cause of death, a shark bite. So this was the first victim of this horrific event that happened. Um, some people are saying, let's see here. I'm not going to highlight it, but I am going to read it. You would have thought it would be a tiger shark attacking people in New Jersey since they're known to eat trash. Okay. Going to the beach, better put on your suit. Yeah, they're pretty straight up there. Bull sharks account for a majority of shark attacks. Yeah, some people think that after this that this was a bull shark. So this is victim one. So while swimming in the ocean was still kind of the pastime there, so it never really
Mhm.
phased them. They just said, okay, it was a fluke.
All right.
Sharks along the
Happen.
coast of New Jersey were unheard of. Many scientists believe sharks to be shy, just another fish that swam offshore, and posed no threats to swimmers and not powerful enough to maul a human. Um, Stories of shark attacks told by ancient mariners were often dismissed as salty tales
Mhm.
and sea serpents. So they were just,
Right.
this myth. Sharks are
Right.
just phony, you know, fake news, right?
Right. Exactly.
So there were signs put out even after this attack that says, bathers need have no fear of sharks. Fish experts, so-called experts, declared one that killed a swimmer may have thought he was a dog. So what? Then you have no issue with that. So yeah, that's what the from the because he was from Philadelphia and
Oh
he
my
came to New
goodness.
Jersey. Yeah, they talked about they said it was a they thought it was a dog. You guys can still swim. So if you remember from the movie Jaws, right? The first attack happened and
Right.
everybody kind of like sort of freaked out, but then they're like, no,
Mhm.
no, we're not going to close the beach on 4th of July. Are you
Yeah, yeah.
crazy? So they just told everybody, you're fine. Everything was going to be good. So it's kind of similar, right?
Sure.
I choose you, says the shark. Thanks, Jacob.
Oh my gosh.
um, so victim number two was a Charles Bruder. 5 days later, however, terror once again struck from the sea. So this is 45 miles south of where Beach Haven. As Charles swam out beyond the breakers of Spring Lake, New Jersey, the 27-year-old Swiss bellboy captain at the Essex Sussex Hotel was
Sex
taking a
bacon.
yeah, there you go. um,
Full circle.
exactly. Hotel was taking a regular lunchtime swim, so I guess that's pretty cool. You go swimming on your lunch break.
Yeah.
A man eater
And then
struck
become lunch.
130 yards from shore and bit off his leg above the knee and the right leg just below his knee. There's a picture, a
I
drawing of
know.
that.
I look, I
Uh,
don't I'm I'm trying not to laugh.
lifeguards,
That rendering is terrible.
lifeguards fainted at the site. There was nothing that could be done to save him. And yeah, so if you see that, that's a pretty brutal drawing, right?
Oh my god.
So
Savage.
both ways. While assistant creator of New York's American Museum of Natural History, who explained Bruto's body, declared the mutation that work of a killer whale. Others clung to the belief that the giant tuna or the great sea turtle must have been the culprit. Some conspiracy theorists believe the attack was the work of a shark. Conspiracy theorists, remember,
Mhm.
and that is a shark trained by the Germans to follow their U-boats and strike American bathers. So they thought sharks were so cool and chill that the Germans had to
Oh my
have
lord.
coerce them to attack Americans. It sounds pretty familiar, right? Nowadays, it would probably be Russians or something,
Shit
right?
people come up with. I swear to
It
goodness.
sounds like if this were to happen today, it would probably this would you would be like, okay, man, yeah, conspiracy theorists, shark attacks. So it's just funny. So yeah, they thought the Germans
Proportional.
were sending these sharks to this. Yeah, num 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 num.
Nom 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 nom.
Yeah. So this is victim number two. Again, 5 days later.
Wow.
Victim number three. Now this was a kid. So now they started putting nets around because they're like, okay, what's going on
Right.
here? So they installed nets along the beaches and the Jersey Shore as boats patrolled the ocean waters, and they did the same thing in Jaws. Remember that after the second victim, they kind of
Mhm.
like they would they started like, okay, let's just patrol the area a little
Right.
bit. they proved useless in preventing the next attack, which occurred 25 miles north of Spring Lake on July
Gosh.
12th. So July 1st,
Mhm.
it was like July 5th or something.
Right.
Now, so he's hungry. He ate.
Bad month.
Yeah, he was full for a few days, and then he was like, I need myself another human
Oh
burger.
my
So,
gosh.
as the sun beat down on a 96-degree day, Lester Sitwell, this is the kid, he was frolicking with other boys in a popular swimming hole along Matawan Creek, a synthetic formant at the basket weaving factory where all the frail 11-year-old worked had taken pity on his overhardened employees and given them the afternoon to cool off. So back then,
Mhm.
if kids are watching, I hope not, 11-year-olds worked in factories, so, they said, "Hey, take the day afternoon off, and you can go
Yeah.
swim in the thing." Lester found his relief in the water of the creek and more than a mile inland, where it emptied into I think it's called Redatan Bay. As the
Mhm.
boy floated on his back, a shadow suddenly emerged from the depths. The shark grabbed him by the stomach, pulled him under the water, and he briefly surfaced long enough to utter a horrific scream before the shark once again took him down.
Poor
So there you go. Yeah. So some
thing.
people say here early days of Sharknado history. Yeah.
Shark.
What did the shark say when he ate the clownfish?
I
This
don't know.
tastes a little funny.
Keep them coming. I love these. I love
Yeah.
these bad jokes. I really do.
So there you go. That's sadly it was a boy. Um,
Yeah.
So, but that event continues. The rest of the terrified boys ran down Mattawan main street yelling for help. A local tailor, 24-year-old Stanley Fisher, joined the townspeople rushing to the scene and from a rowboat probed the murky waters with a pole. Finding no signs of life, it eventually became clear that the mission had switched from rescue to recovery when Fisher spotted Lester's body as the boy's parents watched from the banks. He dove into the creek, even knowing that the killer shark still lurked by. As Fisher retrieved the lifeless body, the shark reappeared and tore into his right leg. So the guy who tried to save the kid got eaten.
Wow.
Dragged to the shore by his neighbors, who desperately attempted to bandage the wound. Fisher passed away a few hours. So he wasn't really like technically a victim, but he was kind of like a in the area, right? He
You're
got
right,
eaten.
right.
So they have a. If you look closely to this photo, they have a plaque of both of them.
That's
At this
nice.
place. Isn't that crazy?
Oh
Yeah.
my
So,
gosh.
yeah, so just like kinda like Jaws, right? The
Yeah,
people
no,
try to save a
it's
kid and other people got eaten.
it is eerily similar, that's for sure.
Yeah, so now there's a victim number 4. Literally
Oh my
30 minutes
gosh.
on the same day,
Mm.
um, after the attack on Fisher, a shark bit the leg of a 12-year-old boy, Joseph Dunn, mouth of a near the mouth of the creek. But
Mhm.
the boy managed to survive. This one survived. The killer fish
God.
became publicly enemy number one. And this is one's pretty funny. They were bounty the same day. There were bounty notices promising $100 to the person or persons killing the shark believed to be in the creek. Um, so like there were mobs of people wielding spears, pitchforks,
Right.
descended upon banks of the creeks as a flotilla. Shark hunters tore into the water, posed shotguns. So there's a lady there with a shotgun. Um, toss sticks of
Oh
dynamite.
my gosh.
Um, the saw and they saw the creek's muddy waters. So yeah, they were chucking everything they could at this thing, hoping to
My
take out the
gosh.
shark. So there's a picture of the two boys. Another drawing of what happened to them. So pretty sad.
Yeah, no, it
Um,
is.
yeah. Let's see here. So yeah. So telegrams and letters, like literally within hours, poured into the White House from a panic Americans urging the federal government to do something to stop this rogue man eater because they didn't think sharks were
Right.
um,
So they thought
like
this one
this
was
crazy. They
right.
thought this one was off his meds, right? 2
Mhm.
days after the attack of Matawan Creek, President Woodrow Wilson convened a cabinet meeting to discuss the shark horror gripping the New Jersey coast. He tasked the Treasury Secretary to lead a war on sharks, so like war on drugs.
Oh,
Um, yeah, that included efforts by U.S. Coast Guard cutters and Bureau of Fisheries to rout the sea terrors. So they were really going after these sharks.
Wow, must have been a slow week at the White House.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
God.
The same morning in a small motorboat, similar to Jaws, off the coast of I think that's South Amboy, New Jersey, shark hunter Michael Sessler spotted a black tail fin in the dragnet he had cast in the bay. And stuck the shark repeatedly with the head of a broken handle
Uh-huh.
into no longer until it no longer moved.
Wow.
Back on land, he reportedly found inside, but never conclusively identified whether the particular shark was indeed the maneater. So he found like human remains in there. I skipped that line.
Mhm.
He found human bones. What they weren't sure was the maneater, but after that shark capture, there were no more attacks
Hmm.
after that summer.
So
So
there you go.
he got it.
He did.
Wait. German sharks. Yeah, German sharks. So if you kind of want to give an idea like where all this is happening, if you do live in New Jersey or if you're familiar of the area, there's Beach Haven where was the first one there,
Mhm.
and then you've got uh, the bay where the shark was captured, and you got Spring Lake. So he kind of went up the coastline,
Yeah.
right? So
Mhm.
if it was one shark, he went up the coastline, kind of cruised up a little bit, and then went into the bay and then got caught.
Right.
And yeah. So the relationships between Americans and sharks forever would never be the same after this big event in 1916. No longer seen as benign, sharks were man-eating predators to be
Mhm.
feared. Even the most skeptical scientists, as New York Times reported, no longer doubted the big fish attacked men. Although Peter eventually told the New York Times that the 1916 attacks in New Jersey did not serve as inspiration for the novel Jaws, which was adapted into the movie in 1975. Um, but the parallels
It's
of the
similar. It's
man-eating shark terrorizing summer, it's super close,
very
right?
similar.
Super close. So I,
Very.
I would say, I would say yes. Um, this could be the
The
true
true
story
story of Jaws. I
of Jaws.
agree.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
man. That was really interesting.
there you go.
That was very interesting. I
Isn't
mean,
that
I
crazy?
feel it is crazy, and of course, look, I'm not heartless. I definitely no, I mean, again, I live in Miami. We're surrounded by I mean, it's a peninsula. We're surrounded by ocean water, and, of course, I've definitely have, seen my fair share of news stories about shark attacks, and I always feel so sorry for the victims and this and that,
Oh
but
yeah.
at the same point, like I said, you are definitely taking a risk the moment you enter that water, unfortunately, and you have to be prepared for the possibility that something like that could happen. My mom won't go in. My mom is of that era. She watched Jaws, and
You should
she
tell her this
never
story.
she
You should
never went into the ocean ever again. She won't go in. She won't.
when I clip the segment out, you should share that video with her and see if
I should. She may not even wanna watch it at all. She'll just hear Jaws and sharks. No, I'm not watching it.
yeah. Why
Oh,
are
yeah.
sharks hard to trust? They tell great white lies. Yeah.
She goes on a roll.
He usually is. He usually is.